All right. Welcome back to the Bring the Juice podcast. I'm your host, Frank Dalena. Fire me up. We got a big guest, big juice today. Coach Andy Ward is back with us. Fresno State Strength and Conditioning Coach, the Strength Warden.
First we gonna rock, then we gonna fold, then we let it pop, don't let it go.
Before we continue more with Bring the Juice, got to give a quick shout out to our support at Manscaped. Manscaped, who is the best in men's below the waist grooming. I mean, these products, they are precision engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. When I say this, I'm not just blowing smoke. I have it. I use it. I'm hardcore about it. Join over 8 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped for this exclusive offer just for you. 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Use code BRINGTHEJUICE at manscaped.com. That's BRINGTHEJUICE at manscaped.com. 20% off, free shipping. If my math is correct, calculator, that's 16 million balls. The Performance Package 4.0 is what I use personally. It comes with the lawnmower trimmer, the weed whacker for your ear and your nose, the crop preserver. It's the ball deodorant. Keeps the family jewels smelling nice. A little freshness. The Crop Reviver Toner. Maybe you're going on a night out, made a little refresh. The Performance Boxer Briefs. And what else comes in that? Oh, yeah. And then they got a travel bag that comes with it. But, this Manscaped 4.0 package, it is the thing to do. Manscaped.com. Use code BRINGTHEJUICE. 20% off. Free shipping. Get right, boys. Coach Ward, pleasure to have you back, brother. Good to see you.
Good to be back, man. Super excited. Appreciate it.
I'm fired up. You're fired up.
Let's go.
The preseason of winter ball, spring ball, summer ball, all leading into fall camp. This episode will be dropped mid-fall camp, so they're going to be in it. You're going to probably be having like a little, the same dinner for the fourth night in a row or something like that. Yeah. But in preparation this next season, it couldn't be more exciting. I had a couple position groups on the pod recently, and I think my first question is going to be, when you have a mountain to climb because you had not that great of a season the year before, you know what your goals are. You're pissed off for greatness because you're hungry to get that ring, get that success. Once you get to the top of the mountain, one thing people don't talk about enough, it's hard to stay at the top of the mountain.
Facts.
So what do you think, not counting this exact team, but just generally, what are the biggest traits needed by a team to stay at the top of that mountain?
I mean, to stay at the top of the mountain, a team has to stay committed to the process. It's what it's all about. As soon as you lose sight of the process, of what it takes day in and day out, the commitment, the grind, the refine, the compete, every single day, if you lose sight of that and you lose sight of the small things, that's when you start letting little things slide.
Right.
And as soon as you let those little things slide, what's to let this next thing slide?
Right.
What's to let, maybe I'll just have this meal tonight instead of eating what I'm supposed to eat. Right. Oh, maybe I don't have to go to this recovery session. And then it just does a trickle effect. And you see it. I mean, we saw it in 2019, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It happens.
Right.
But if you lose that process and you lose that drive and that competitiveness to want to go get it, a fucking chip on your shoulder. If you don't have that on a day in, day out basis,
yeah,
bro, it's hard.
It's hard. I actually, when the linebackers were on, I pulled this quote out of my ass. I said, you wake up, you make your bed every day. You wake up one day, you stop making your bed. Before you know it, your whole house goes to shit.
But that's real shit, though.
Goes to shit. It just does. It's like, and I remember, this thing too. It's a Tedford saying of, let's say every day we're going to go for a jog, okay, around the block. And there's 4 corners of this block. One of those corners, and you're doing this because you're trying to implement discipline and consistency to get better. In one of those corners of that block, there's a gas station. Okay? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
You're a little tired one day, right? Maybe, I don't know, maybe you didn't take care of yourself. Maybe you didn't prepare enough. As soon as you start cutting through that gas station instead of going all the way around that block, the whole shit is gone to shit. It's done. It just takes, you think, oh, it's not a big deal. I still ran around the block. But there is a difference.
How you do something makes the difference. That is the difference. And especially in college, let's be honest, everyone's doing the same shit. Yep. Everyone's squatting, everyone's benching, everyone's power cleaning, everyone's running. Yep. But how you do that and the details you put into that make the difference.
Absolutely. It's much easier said than done. This team, you lose a lot of guys, which is tough. And it's also hard because, and I know, Coach Ward, you've been around a lot of teams, not just Fresno State, where you have success, you have a great, I don't even want to call it senior leadership, but guys who knew how to get the job done.
Yeah.
Okay?
Experience.
You have the experience. And a lot of the time, there's ebbs and flows to experience. Now, which makes me respect even more a program like Alabama, who constantly, if they don't win the national championship, they're pissed.
That's a bust of a season for them.
If they win 10 games only, that's a dog shit season for Alabama. Their standards this high. But what I'm getting at is they do a great job of developing their younger players to not getting complacent necessarily of the fruit of what the older players bared almost. So what I mean is, okay, you got young guys right now on this team who, and I've been through this cycle where you're the young cat on the team. Your team's really good and you win. You think you just got to show up, punch that time clock in. Hey, man, we're going to be good again. We got talent. We're Fresno State, baby. We run the Mountain West.
Yeah.
But you don't realize that those older guys went through struggles internally, mentally, late nights of, talking to the coaches, screaming at each other, nights in the house where you're just getting a little team bonding. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of little things that accumulate into that team chemistry that is enough to get the job done of winning a championship. And there's just certain things that take time. So with that being said, do you think, understanding going through winter ball and spring ball and summer ball leading into this fall camp, are these guys, is there enough for this Fresno State team to hold the rope essentially?
I do believe that. To be completely honest, I just told the team today that I think this team, and there's like a bunch of metrics that I go through at the end of every offseason and talk about, commitment, communication, cohesion, competitiveness. There's a bunch of things I go through and rank each team on. Right. I told them this team has a better team culture than last year's team. Yeah. I do believe that, but we're just unproven. I told them they got to go out. They got to prove that shit every single day. So do I think this team could rise to that occasion? I do. I really do. I do think that could be a possibility, and that would not surprise me in the slightest.
Right. There's a lot of intangibles that go with that too. There's more to football than catching balls and scoring touchdowns and making tackles and having good field position and stuff. There's a lot of little nitty-gritty things that aren't even measurable necessarily.
Yeah.
I know that's kind of old school maybe to say, but there's some things where you can't put a measurement on toughness, heart, culture, grit, juice.
Yeah.
Saw a great quote yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. PJ Fleck. If you're juiceless, you're useless. If you're juiceful, you're useful.
Oh, next level.
Hey, how about that shit, right? But it's all about controlling the controllables and understanding what you're gonna do. And this in fall camp, which people don't understand fall camp necessarily.
Grind.
A lot. You get a big flash pan synopsis, a little bit of foreshadowing of what kind of team are we going to be. Are we grinding? Are we fighting? Are we holding each other accountable? Yeah. What are we doing?
Daily.
You can't run from this fade.
No.
It will always, the truth will come knocking on your door, and your true colors will show eventually.
100%. The cream will rise to the crop. People's jobs will be taken.
Yeah. Best believe it.
Yeah. People will fade. And that's the thing, too, with camp, man. If someone gets hurt, hopefully, knock on wood, that doesn't happen to anyone, right? Like, luckily, last year we had a great training camp. No, we didn't have any major injuries inside training camp. But if that does happen, that creates an opportunity for someone to showcase what they got.
Yeah. Injuries are part of the game, and it's unfortunate to where it works. It's a two-sided coin. Yeah. You're the guy who goes down mentally, huge struggle, want to get back. Someone else is taking your reps, been grinding all year to get those reps. Yeah. All of a sudden, little hammies acting up, little ankles acting up, shoulders acting up. Now I'm not playing to the best of my abilities. Someone else is fresh in there getting those reps. That's tough, man. That's tough on the sideline. At the same time, guy ahead of you does that. Well, now you're getting more reps than you anticipated. Yeah. You make a couple plays, make a little name for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's part of the game. That's part of sports, especially football, though. I feel like,
especially football. Yeah. It's such, and that's the thing I love about football is you can go and earn what you deserve. You can go and get what you have put your work into. Right. And if what you've put in is not a solid foundation, then when you get your opportunity, it's not going to be there. No. You're not going to rise to the occasion. It's one of those things where what you put in, you will get out, so to speak.
You can't bullshit your way through this
You can't bullshit your way through it. And especially in camp, every day. I just feel like in other sports, it's mentally, physically not as taxing.
Right.
Football, you're in a car accident every single freaking practice.
Yep.
You're putting your body on the line every single day. And I'm not hating on other sports. I love other sports. I watch a lot of other sports.
Totally.
Supports Fresno State, basketball, baseball. I go to all kinds of different games. But the physical nature of the sport is just demanding.
Do you think football has the best athletes?
I think the best athletes in America play football, American football. I think football is America's sport right now. Yes, that's where natural athleticism will tend to go that direction. And then you have your niches. If you're super tall, you typically go to the basketball side. And then that's where it's like, okay, now the leftover athletes. And I don't want to hate on anyone, but if you were super freaking fast, you're probably trying to play receiver or running back or DB.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? But if you ain't got that kind of speed, then you're probably going to go into soccer or baseball.
Gonna start hitting baseballs.
You know what I'm saying? So it's nothing. Some people just grow up naturally liking certain sports. So maybe there's some elite athletes in those sports that could play football. Like I definitely think guys like LeBron and his prime and stuff like that could have played football. Yeah. But I think, the best athletes overall, well-rounded athletes are in football.
Yeah, and I mean, something like basketball is difficult to compare it to because if you're not
6'5",
you really don't even play with it. Like
that's right.
If you grow up and you're a baller and that's your thing and you don't like contact and this that, not saying basketball is not contact, but like
there's definitely contact.
There's definitely contact,
but it's just different.
It's different collisions. It's different mindset. I get it.
The intensity is different.
Okay, but like you could like I knew I was never gonna play basketball.
Yeah.
Ever. X that out. It's fine. I'll play horse in the pool every once in a while.
I'll go pick up at the rec.
With that, man. I'm ass at basketball. Baseball though, like you grow up and if you're balling and you want to pursue it, do it. I think it's also hard too. I've had a couple pro baseball players on, some guys who have been in the actual majors, other guys who are bouncing in and out of that single A, double A, triple A realm. That's a tough mindset of dude,
that's a tough life.
You get drafted to the quote-unquote Boston Red Sox, but you're not playing for the actual Boston Red Sox.
No, you're just in their organization.
You're in the organization, which is sick, and it takes time, but you might never get called up. You might take 7 years to get called up, and while you're in that 7 years, you're living in towns like Bakersfield and Visalia and shit.
Stockton ports.
Right? And you're living in these towns, and the luxury of, like college football, you get on a plane, you get food, you get a hotel. You kind of just got to follow a schedule, and it's all provided for you. You're driving to games. Resources. You're paying for your own shit. You got to go this instead of you're doing 14-hour bus rides and stuff, man. That's I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze. You got to really love that shit and trust the process. And mentally, I feel like there's that equilibrium of like, okay, at what point is it not worth it? Or at also the same time, it's like, at what point is it worth it? Because, you're chasing your dream, man. But it's tough.
As long as you have that mindset of, I'm going to fucking do this.
Right.
And you love it and you enjoy it. Fuck, grind it out, man. See what can happen. Look, dude, there's some of these guys have been in the minors for 10 years that are just making it to the major leagues.
Yeah.
And that's because that's a testament to their longevity inside their sport and their commitment to that sport. Some guys, they want instant gratification, especially younger kids nowadays. They struggle with
overnight success, man.
I'm just not going to do this anymore.
Right.
If you don't have that love and that drive, you're just going to give up a lot easier.
It's a mindset, and it's tough. I wonder, though, you mentioned that, like, the up-and-coming generations of baseball players, I wonder if there'll be a bigger drop-off of guys just being like, I don't want to play single A, I don't play double A. I'd rather go, sell cars or some bullshit. Like
whatever it is they want to enjoy.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's interesting because this year with the MLB, they've had a youth movement, which has been fun to watch. There's a lot of young guys in the MLB right now that are up and coming. And so hopefully, to be completely honest, and I love EPL, Premier League Soccer, and I love the relegation and promotion of it. That's to me that keeps it interesting. And I'd love to see some of these professional teams kind of adopt that model. But let's be honest, if they're not going to adopt that model, then why make your young talent sit down there for years just because that's tradition?
Right.
If they're good, bring them up. Let them ball. Let's see what they got.
Yeah.
And then as you continue to bring up those younger guys, then that's just going to make the game more exciting because they're going to build their brand earlier and they're going to have longer brand, recognition later in their career.
I agree. I think there's too much fat at the bottom of that bone for the MLB right now. They need to trim that a little bit. Just a little bit. Before we continue, got to have a quick shout out to our friends at the American Pistachio Growers. If you want to perform like the pros, eat your pistachios, eat those nuts, kids. Coach Ward, are there any good nutritional value to pistachios, you think?
Tons of nutritional value. I actually eat one cup. I eat 1 cup of pistachios every single night before I go to bed.
Why?
Well, it helps me sleep, to be honest. And there's some qualities that help you stay asleep longer inside pistachios. And honestly, I just think they taste great. It gives me salt. I'm outside a lot. I sweat. I need to make sure my electrolytes are balanced.
Yep.
And so between the sleep quality and the extra salt right before I go to bed, and it helps me drink water, so I'm hydrating on top of that. Tons of benefits.
Eat your pistachios, kids. You mentioned soccer. I had a interesting little take I wanted to bring up today. So you're familiar, I don't want to butcher his name, Mbappe, right?
Yeah.
Stud. If you watch
arguably the best player right now.
If you watch the last World Cup, you know who he is.
100%.
Dude's a freaking dog. Okay. So we saw what Liv did with the golf thing, right? They tried to start their own golf league in Saudi Arabia. They're poaching off some of the best guys in the world,
cashing them out.
And if you look at those dollar figures, it's kind of like, dude, like, why would you not do that? And I know, and there was rumors Tiger Woods got offered some big ass numbers. This Mbappe guy got offered $1 billion for a 1-year contract.
Yeah, 1 year.
1 year, $1 billion. That is, I mean, that's crazy.
That's unreal. That's what I mean. Like in America, we have a different culture. We value different things. And in outside of America, soccer is it.
It is.
Soccer is the thing.
We're the weird ones.
Could you imagine Tyreek Hill as a freaking forward? That dude would be balling over in Europe if he played soccer.
Yeah.
You don't think he'd be getting that same offer to go play for some Saudi team?
Physical specimens. I just wondered, the reason I brought it up, it's like, okay, I understand, let's say from my perspective, let's say I'm top of my field, one of the top of my field, right? At what point do you kind of consider that? Because I get there's more Premier Leagues, more prestigious opportunities to play the professional sport. And we're always, everyone's chasing the bag, whether you like it or not. You get offered a better job, if it's the right fit for your family, then you're going to do it.
You're going to consider it.
Right. But there's also situations where it's like, okay, maybe it's not the best fit for your family, but that paycheck just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it becomes a little more, interesting to dabble in the waters.
Yeah.
$1 billion for a year. Patrick Mahomes got paid $500 million for what, like 10 years, 12 years, something like that. Dude, that's crazy.
That's unreal money. I mean, if it's me, I don't know, man. Like, there's so much behind the Saudi name that has so much negativity. Right.
A lot of unknowns.
A lot of political, things that kind of are underlying in that world right there. And, I think for me personally, dude, I go play 1 year, I'm done for my life.
Right.
I could go home, do whatever the hell I want.
Forever.
I could go play 1 year, come back.
Yeah.
To whatever team I want to play with next.
Yep.
And so
no one's gonna be mad at you.
Shit, I could go freaking buy a team damn near.
Probably buy a league almost. I mean, it's crazy. That's crazy. Billion with a B. And I think, he said no. Okay, I get it. But it brings up the question: at what point do you say yes?
I think every person has a tipping point. And
I mean, $1 billion
for me and you, we're seeing that kind of money, and we're like, what is this dude doing?
No.
But, you know, like some of these professional athletes, you know, to them, there is like, okay, I know what I'm worth. I know I can ball here. I know I'm going to get the notoriety and the publicity and the fame that comes with being in this league, in this town, the Champions League, all these things, right, that play into, especially on the soccer side.
Right.
There's a lot of that goes into that decision because, I mean, let's be honest, he might go over there. He might be the most famous person ever over in that world, but like that leagues isn't like a world league, you know what I'm saying? It's not like people are.
It's interesting to air out because
Yeah.
it's like, I understand there's pros, there's cons, there's all this shit, but at the same time, look at this live thing. Everyone was talking crap.
Yeah.
Guess what? They're back on the tour.
Yeah.
They're back on.
Those dudes made the right gamble there.
How long did it take? A year?
Yeah.
Not even?
Not even? Maybe a year and a half?
That's what I'm saying. And guess what? They're back on the tour. Can you imagine if you got offered that money and you were, I mean, I probably would have. I don't think I would have taken the money either, just because golf is such a traditional game.
Yeah.
And if you're at the top of your field, you're getting this, but you're not guaranteed money in golf. That's one thing. You got to win to get the bag.
You got to earn it.
You got to win to get the bag.
I mean, you got to make the cut just to get into the money. If you don't make the cut, you just wasted all that money, flight, you know, Airbnbs, all that stuff.
I watched a little Netflix documentary.
You watched the full swing?
I watched
yeah,
full swing. I mean,
was a good one.
It's cool because it gives you a little perspective on like what these guys really go through and all that. And it's different than the game. It's different than football. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
If you don't have your jet, then you're really not a pro golfer.
Yeah.
And
your bag's getting lost and beat up.
You're a clown.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's interesting to hear about that tipping point. I think I would have done the $1 billion personally. That's a shit ton of money, man.
Bro, like I said, 1 year,
I'd
and then you go back.
I'd probably do anything for $1 billion, to be honest.
1 year, go, and then you're back. 1 year, you're back to your normal life.
Now, if there was all these contingency clauses,
See, that's what we don't know.
Right,
you know,
right.
like,
We don't know the nitty gritty of it. But if they said, "Hey, 365 days, you're going to play for this, and you're a free man, no bullshit, nothing like that, for 1 year, $1 billion," I'm kind of considering that, man.
I'm definitely considering it. Now, whether I do it, I don't know. You know, until it's in front of me, until I have to make that choice, I don't know. You know, it's hard to sit here and say what another man should have done. You know.
No, I know. Everyone's got their
tipping point.
Everyone's got their tipping point. You know, so transitioning a little bit. Speaking of news, Twitter today. I don't know how reliable that is. You were at Colorado for a year. You're at Fresno State now. There's allegedly Colorado's going to the Big 12.
That's what I saw. I heard it's official.
Yeah. Until they have a Big 12 logo on their jerseys, I don't believe shit.
Yeah,
but,
you never know. Yeah.
But, I mean, what do you think, man? Like, that's crazy. I think it's the Wild West, but, like, that was bang, bang.
But boom, boom.
They weren't
overnight.
They weren't on the list or the radar. Dion called somebody. Had to have.
I mean,
Had to have.
I wouldn't be surprised if that went down. I know Dion's got all his little stuff he's got health-wise going on, but I would not be surprised if that's been in the works since Dion got there. I would not be surprised if Dion had an inkling on this was going to happen when he signed with Colorado.
Maybe. I personally, and you don't have to comment on this because you don't have to, but I kind of like the Pac-12 better.
I have a bias. I'm a Pac-12 guy. Yeah. I grew up Pac-12. I grew up watching Pac-12, and honestly, I grew up watching Coach Tedford. Yeah. Like, I mean, when I was in high school, Teddy, man, like, he was Cal and everything like that. That was my team back in the day and everything. And so, like, I have a huge bias to the Pac-12. I think the Pac-12 has better athletes, in my opinion. I think the Pac-12 has better quarterback play, in my opinion. I think the offense is more exciting in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And so I definitely think the Pac-12 has more draw. But you know what? You know, I mean, like we were talking about with Liv and with, I mean, money's money and money talks nowadays. And honestly, I think that creates opportunities for other teams. Like, they're not, Pac-12 is going to have to add 3 teams now. And I think that's good for Fresno State.
Well, chances are, I mean, if Big 12 is going to bring one more in, I don't know. I tweeted this earlier today. Don't know what's going to fucking happen. I think if it's from the Pac-12 that they're going to bring someone over to the Big 12, you already brought up Colorado. I think Utah is the other one. That's my 2 cents. That's my betting opinion. My wife went to Utah. I live in Salt Lake City. Dude, they're pretty hardcore in fucking Salt Lake City.
Bro, they are rabid fans. That's top 3 stadium inside the Pac-12. Those fans are legit.
They're in it.
They're in it. They're aggressive fans.
And they always have a pretty. I mean,
They're solid. They're a sound
they've
team.
quietly won the Pac-12 back-to-back years.
Yeah, they're a process team. You know, if there was a team that was, you know, that Bill Belichick style, it's them inside the Pac-12.
I think if somebody gets the call, they go. Like you said, though, then that opens up another slot in the Pac-12. I don't know, man. I look at the Big 12, and the Big 12 not having Texas and Oklahoma, I really think it dilutes just kind of the brand of like, this is the Big 12 type thing. And the Pac-12, as much as USC and UCLA are such blue bloods, I don't know, man. I mean, you know, we both have the same feelings on both those guys. We're not big USC or UCLA fans.
I mean, we've gone down there and competed with them, beat them. You know, like
Great.
Yeah,
I do think. I think that one thing, I know money is the final answer for everything, but we've also played in some Big Ten stadiums before. I don't know how UCLA and USC are going to adapt to being in that week in and week out, let alone you play a team like Nebraska. Nebraska's come to Fresno State before. I wasn't playing yet. I was a fan at that point. Guess what? Fresno travels 3 hours to LA to make it the Rose Bowl rowdy. Nebraska's going to sell half that shit out.
Yeah.
And they're going to...
They got some diehards.
Diehards. And UCLA is going to be in there. Oh, shit, man.
Yeah.
This is... They didn't drive 3 hours. They took 2 flights to get here.
I personally think UCLA is going to have a rough transition. I don't think that they're built for that.
No.
USC, I think
They're on the rise right now.
They're on the rise, and especially in today's market with the NIL and the transfer portal and all this kind of stuff that's going on, like it's Wild West out there, like straight up. Like I think they'll be able to get there quicker,
right?
But I don't know. I think UCLA is in for a rude awakening.
Well, they got a Heisman as a quarterback. They got Lincoln Riley, who's just freaking
a great coach.
Great coach. Got the right staff. I don't know what's gonna happen. It'll be interesting. I hope Fresno State, wherever, you could only play the schedule you're given. That's all you could do. All this is just hoopla, irrelevant bullshit until something happens. But I will say, this Pac-12 guy, whoever's got that job title, I don't know who he is. We could Google him. You better pick a freaking TV deal, man.
That media rights deal is what's killing them right now.
You gotta pick something.
They have to get that done.
It's not like there's 100 options. There's got to be like 6 options, maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, like in my mind, there's like only like 3 or 4 options. I don't even know what are we gonna be doing? Watch it on Cartoon Network or something.
I don't know what's gonna happen, but it's definitely one of those things where it's like, okay, something needs to happen. And I think if it's like week, I could very well see this. People are gonna be so freaking pissed. It's gonna be like September 12th, and everyone's just gonna be like, I can't watch Washington play Arizona State right now because some dumbass doesn't. They're not even going to broadcast it.
Right.
What are they going to do?
Could you imagine? Those games get millions of views. They're elite. They're elite games.
Yeah.
Get millions of views. Could you imagine not having that in the Pac-12? It's killing the brand.
There has to hit a point. I wonder. I'm sure they have a number that they're trying to get, but like we're talking about like equilibriums of. If you had to make a grade, like there has to be a point where it's like, dude, we need to sign a deal.
Yeah.
And you've had, years? Probably 2 years realistically, because since Texas and Oklahoma decided to go into the SEC, that's when the whole thing was like, whoa, holy shit.
Yeah, that's what kicked all this off.
It's kicked all this off. And you know what? I guess I'm in that generation where the Pac-12 has always been the Pac-12. The SEC has always been the SEC. Like, in my experience of watching college football, I don't remember the Pac-10. Like, I don't personally. I'm 26 now. Like, I don't. It was a Pac-8 at one point.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember that shit. You probably remember some of that.
I remember the Pac-10.
That's what I'm saying. So, I get there's ebbs and flows to this, but at the same time, it's like, dude, this might be a hot take. Do you really want 20 teams in one conference too? That's just too many.
Man, honestly though, like I think it's in my opinion, it's turning into the haves and the have-nots. And I think there's going to end up being 2 super leagues. And to be honest, like, I think that's why the Big 12 is trying to expand west. I think the Big 12 is trying to go after a California school or a school that's inside the Pacific time zone, because that's what these schools want. They want to be on the East Coast at 9 a.m. and they want to be on the West Coast at 7 p.m. at night.
Right.
You know, and that way their market is just so broad. Yeah. You're getting everyone all across America.
Right.
And so personally, I think that's the direction that we're heading. And then it's going to be, all right, these teams, all right, pay ungodly amounts of monies. And then outside that, all right, now I think there will be a regression back to traditional college football with some of those other schools.
It might take 20 years to get
back
there.
100%.
Yeah, a lot of shit could happen in between. And this NIL thing, lot could happen.
Dude, the NIL stuff is I'll say this. I mean, if this was back in the day, bro, there's got to be some guys that were missed out on millions of dollars in college.
Johnny Manziel, Reggie Bush,
dude. Yeah, just to name 2 names right there. Those guys are millionaires before they even leave college.
I will say, I think, and not to dive too deep into it, I don't think it's cool to use it as a recruiting tool out of high school. I think that's kind of fucked, personally. And I think whether you like it or not, you need to cap it. You need to.
I agree. I think should be that. Make it a level playing field.
Make it a level playing field. You cap it, and then maybe if you're maybe they bring the video game back, and if you're on the cover, it's like $1 million bonus.
Right.
Like, it's sick. Oh, shit. So-and-so's on the cover. They get their $1 million. I think that would be cool, but you can't just have this bidding war. And like, also, again, I haven't been in a locker room during this era, and Fresno State might not get hit as hard as some of those SEC schools do. But like, you know, if I'm in the quarterback room and I'm working my way up the depth chart like we were talking about, and I'm doing my thing, and all of a sudden there's some senior in high school who we paid $4 million to come here, like, do you think that he's not going to have an advantage over me on getting reps, getting opportunities to play? You invested.
Are you kidding me?
It's like anything.
That coach is committed to that.
That's what I'm saying.
Person.
It's the equivalence of, brought it up on the pod many times. You draft a wide receiver in the first round, and you have an undrafted free agent wide receiver. They're the same class. Maybe they're the same height, same weight, right? Guess what? The leash, the string, the rope to fuck shit up that the first round has compared to the undrafted free agent, it's night and day.
Night and day.
It's night and day. You're saying
the undrafted guy messes one thing up, out, gone.
Done. The first rounder drops 3 passes and has a couple of assignments. Hey, we got to work on that, buddy.
Gets arrested or gets in trouble for driving 140 for a dog emergency.
What's up with that?
You kidding me?
140?
140.
I've gone fast.
You kidding me?
You don't need to go 140.
That guy ain't getting in trouble for that. He ain't getting cut from the team for that.
No. Too much investment.
Someone else does that, though.
Gone.
And honestly, though, I mean, especially at the college level, I mean, if you make one bad investment, I mean, who's paying for this money? It's donors. It's businesses. That business, that donor's going to look at you kind of sideways. Well, or is this really the right quarterback?
Right.
Well, you said this about this last guy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's my money.
Yeah.
I think, too, one thing we kind of talked about when I interviewed the linebackers and the tight ends, it's like, how much, and you're internal, so you might know more than I do, but I think people don't realize, like, okay, let's say I get a $100,000 NIL deal, right? Is there education on, like, hey, you're going to have to pay taxes on this. Hey, you're going to have to, save up because you live in California and this happens and now you're in this bracket and all this shit. Like, shout out to whoever college understood this. I'm sure there's a coach out there that was like,
oh, I'm sure.
Hey, and this might be a good fall camp activity, one of those, after dinner meetings where a guy comes in and be like, all right, this is our NIL money understanding talk, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you might get X amount for NIL. If you get this much, prepare to pay taxes in this. Because it's not like it's a lemonade stand on the side of a corner where someone's just giving you cash.
It's not tax-free. It's not like you're getting checks written under the table.
No.
I think initially, I think a lot of schools weren't prepared for that.
No.
And now I know at least here at Fresno, they're doing more of that educational stuff.
Right.
You know, we got Aaron Mitchell now, our director of NIL.
Wow.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That right there is I know pretty. I know he's buttoning some things up on that side of things as well.
Right.
And so I know there's a new process being put in place.
Yeah.
But dude, I think initially, kids were like, wait, what you mean I owe $5,000, $6,000
Yep.
at the end of the year? I ain't got that kind of money. I spent that.
That's what I'm saying. It's rude awakening, man.
Yeah.
And usually those talks would happen when, our boys would get drafted to the league and they get
Yeah.
the first check. And they're like, yeah, I get a check for $40,000 a week. And it's like, no, you get a check for $22,000 a week.
Yeah.
Like surprise-
Uncle Sam gets a check for
surprise,
$18,000 a week.
motherfucker, type shit. So and I mean, like an adult, it's crazy. It's funny, man. Like talking, not to get into politics at all, but I think everyone's at the point, and I just had a lot of conversations recently with some people, like kind of my generation, because there's all this bullshit in politics these days. And I'm not a political podcast, but like at the end of the day, I think one thing everyone can agree on is if you're going to be the guy who I get to keep more of my paycheck, I'm probably going to be on board with your shit at this point.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Because everyone's chasing the bag. And, dude, California's expensive. The world is expensive.
Dude, right now it's so expensive.
I mean,
everywhere.
I'm trying to get a backyard put in. Like, I'm doing the bare minimum. I'm like trying to get some nice dirt in there instead of I was gonna do grass. I'm like maybe we'll do gravel instead or something. I don't know what's gonna happen, but gas. There was a point where if you were driving around town to get gas and you're like, oh shit, that's in the $3s. I'm not going to that one. Now you're like, oh, it's under $5. All right, I'll go to that one.
Yeah.
It's regular to us. We're become numb to it. Shit's fucking crazy, man.
Desensitized.
Before we continue, speaking of finances, we're going to give a quick shout out to our friends at FFB Bank. You remember Fresno First Bank? They rebranded to FFB Bank. They are no longer just in the Fresno community. They are national, worldwide, just like Bring the Juice is. If you have any needs for banking, both personal and business side, go to FFB Bank. They'll treat you with a prime business approach. They'll take care of you, give you a go dogs. Hey, did you listen to the last episode of Bring the Juice? Great people. They take care of you for all your banking needs. FFB Bank. Okay, Coach Ward. So, strength and conditioning, leading into season, we talked about it. What is there any new? You're always trying to master your craft.
Yeah. If you don't try and do that, I feel like you're falling behind.
You will. What are the newest technologies right now? What's the new thing where you're like, okay, because I was in the Tendo speed era, and I know that's like dinosaur shit compared to now. But what are some of the things that the new technologies that a Division I college football program is implementing right now?
The 1080 sprint is probably the technology that's on the rise right now and becoming more popular amongst everyone.
1080 sprint.
1080 sprint. So what it does, let's say let's just you run a 4.4,
okay,
and I run a 4.4.
Okay.
Let's be honest, I ain't running no fucking 4.4, but let's just pretend, right?
Yeah.
All right. Let's say you come out the gate hot, but then slow down at the end. But let's say I come out the gate slow and then pick up as I go. We shouldn't be doing the same speed program. And so it's easy to evaluate that when you have this 1080 sprint, because then we hook it up and you run your 40, you run your 30, whatever distance you want to run. And then with this technology, it tells you exactly how much force, how much velocity, what your stride length is with every single step. And then you can kind of look at the trace, and this trace will kind of be building like this. Yeah. Sometimes it dies out. Sometimes it's a slow build. And then we'll put that into like our system. And I have people on my staff that help me with this. Sean Robbins and Tyler, they both do a great job of helping me build my dashboards and everything like that. And that'll put you into a certain speed group. And then based on that speed group, you start there. We work mechanical stuff. We work some technique. We work some plyos specific to what you need to work on.
Right.
And then your speed groups are specific to what you need to work on for you. And then we come back together. And this summer, we do all that speed stuff on the front end. Then we come back together, we compete, we do some stuff to utilize that speed. And then, all right, now let's play some football and do some football conditioning.
Right. Wow. How about that?
Dude,
shit.
The technology nowadays is growing, and it's becoming more accessible.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, 10 years ago,
It was too expensive.
it was too expensive, and only the elites can afford these things. Yeah. But now it's becoming more accessible to people. I mean, honestly, we're pretty fortunate. We have a really good donor base here, and we have some really good donors that really take care of us inside the weight room side of things. Yeah. But I mean, at other schools, even at San Jose and Sacramento, that some of these schools are even being able to get some of these products, which is exciting for them.
Right.
But the 1080 Sprint is probably the newest technology that's like, all right, this is, if you don't have this, you are falling behind.
Wow. How about that? God. What about as far as strength? You've been in the game a long time now. Are people, you think as a generation, are kids stronger now, weaker now?
Definitely weaker. I'll say this. Movement skills have improved. Okay. Like the freshman class we just got in, last 2 years, both freshman classes, but specifically this one right here. They move well, right? They run, they can change directions, they can flip their hips, all that stuff. They could put their foot in the ground and redirect. That stuff looks pretty. But then you go and try and evaluate their force, or you go and try and evaluate how much they can lift or what their vertical jump is. That stuff is, honestly, in my opinion, falling down significantly.
Does that have to do with the lack of just commitment to their high school strength and conditioning coaches, those third parties and all that stuff?
That's exactly what it is, those little third parties. Like, and there's a lot of great trainers out there. Like, there's even really good trainers here locally in Fresno that I've had conversations with and met with and everything like that. But like nowadays, these kids are going through the system, and it's more about, all right, let's get you faster, or let's get you better at your sport. Wide receiver coaches or position coaches, and the weight room side of things is being devalued. Yeah. And that's the thing that, me and my strength coach buddies always talk about. It's like, dude, these kids are coming in and they can run fast, but then you ask them to go lift 135 on the bar and they look like absolute shit. And it takes like freaking 6 months to rebuild,
get that technique down,
get the technique to build that foundation. And it's like they can't control the bar, they can't control their own body weight sometimes in some of these certain movements. And that side of things is not only are they not only being devalued on the weight room side, but then they go home and then they're just chilling. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it used to be. Like when I was a kid, back in my day, back in my day, we used to go outside and play until it got dark. You know, it wasn't like we played video games and had these headsets and you could connect with people all across, friends that you haven't talked to forever.
Yeah, no. It's who's on the joysticks right there. That's it. We're going outside, we inside. That's all it is. I thought the same thing. I mean, I didn't know what the answer was, but I could imagine. So also, you don't realize how important strength and conditioning is until you get into that college program and understand, like, this is really what you do. Yeah. I'll say too, like, once you're out of it, it's depressing lifting by yourself, man. It's depressing not having that environment of college football. The environment
is the hardest thing, man. It's contagious. And it's not the same when you leave that environment.
Dude, you can lift in I have a rack in my garage by myself. I'll throw some tunes on. It just doesn't. It's just not the same.
It doesn't hit.
Doesn't quite hit the same.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I have a rack in my garage too, and I'd be trying to go out there, and I still clang and bang. I still slang it. But it's the motivation. It's the internal motivation that is what's the hardest piece.
There's nobody there to keep you accountable. There's nobody there. Freaking, I had a great talk with my brother about it a couple days ago. I was like, you lift with guys who are stronger than you. Well, there's a lot of mindsets to that. One of them that's evident, in my opinion, is just the concept of, okay, let's say these guys have this weight on. It just becomes a pain in the ass to take that weight off and put your weight on. Like, bro, just leave the 5. just leave the 5.
Bro, I be doing that all the time.
Shit. You're good, man. Like, over time, it kind of starts accumulating to where you do get stronger because of it.
That intensity accumulation over time and load, tonnage, it adds up.
So what's your in person? What's the most you've seen benched and squatted?
Dude, today we had a guy on the team, Ezra, on the D line, new guy, squat 675.
True squat.
True squat. True
Depth.
full depth. To we squat to a box so that way the depth is
675.
consistent. 675 on the bar. The bar was bent. We just got brand new bars in the weight room, right?
Totally
like
what
just
you
on Tuesday, and so he's squatting. I walk over there. I'm like, oh damn, that's a lot of weight. I start counting it up. I'm like, damn, that's a whole new range. I gotta do some weight room math here. Hold on, let me bust this out. I haven't had to do this in a while. I'm like, damn, 675. The bar's bending and bowing. He hits that shit. Everyone went wild. Everyone circled up. That environment is contagious.
That's juice right there.
Juice, bro. It helped him get that because he hit 635 prior to that, and it was like a grind,
right.
you know. But then the juice, everyone's like, oh, everyone's seeing it, everyone's coming over. We throw on 675, and that 675 looked easier than 635 because of that juice.
Dude, it's the difference.
It is the difference.
What about bench?
So the most I've ever seen would be 480. I think it was 480 on 480. The 2.5 heaviest plates in the weight room. 480.
The 2.5 heaviest plate in the weight room. Damn.
That was when I was at Stanford. That was.
People don't understand how strong that is.
It's like. That's the type of strength that's just freaking raw. Like we didn't develop that. He came in strong, and then we improved him, but he came in already benching 405 as a true freshman. Like when you're already benching 405 as a true freshman, dude, you know that by the time you're a senior, there's gonna be some freaking numbers being thrown around.
What is okay? So I have this. There's been a little debate. So if you're a grown ass man. Okay, and you got to hold yourself to a standard.
Yeah.
What's the keep yourself in check number you should be doing? Should you be able to have to do 20 push-ups? Should you make sure you get at least 1 on 225? What is the hey, you need to check yourself number. Make sure. I'm not saying you got to be running gas or ladders or squatting PRs or any of that shit, but the old I still got it.
I still got it. So I mean, I've always gone off of 1.5 times your body weight on a squat. If you can squat 1.5 times your body weight, you're doing okay. But as me deep down, if I can't squat 365, I feel like a bitch. Like I will forever. I'm 70 years old. I'm throwing fucking 365 on that bar, and I'm getting it up one way or another. Like that shit is going up.
You're a squat guy though. You're not.
I'm a squat guy. I that's how I check myself.
Okay.
Like if I'm looking for do I still got it or not? Am I getting old or not?
Yeah.
Are my kids catching up to me and my dad bod taking over or not? 365 is it for me. Like if I can't hit that, I know, all right, here it is. I'm fucking going back to my powerlifting days. I'm getting that bitch back up, and then all right, I can go back to doing some power cleans and some snatches and stuff like that.
365 on squat.
Yeah, for me, 275 on bench. If I'm not hitting 275, I feel like I'm being a fucking bitch.
You got your numbers.
Those are my two numbers: 275, 365. Are those impressive numbers? Not really, but
hold up.
You're
also though in a extreme, intense, high level elite environment. I read some shit that there's half the population can't hit 135 on bench or something like that.
Bro, you would be shocked.
Or
probably
10 push-ups
more
or something like that.
It probably more than that, to be completely
Fact check.
honest.
What was that, Jake?
I think it's
98.
90% of the population cannot do 135.
That's crazy. 90%.
That does not shock me in the slightest. Dude, you got to think about it. These kids nowadays, they don't grow up in the weight room. Here we go again, back in my day, we had gym as part of PE class.
Dude, it's fun to lift weights.
Dude, it's fun. And feel the pump and the swole,
testosterone.
Nowadays, I'd be talking to some high school strength coaches and getting to know some more of those kind of population of guys. And the kids, they say they go in there and they do some core or some body weight stuff, and that's it's just not the same.
It's also, I noticed too, people kind of steer away from free weights itself.
That's what I'm.
And I'm sorry, man. I remember having buddies in college where when we had our little winter 2 weeks off, or our little May 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
They'd want to go get a workout in somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, I do this maybe twice a year with one of these guys.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, all right, let's hit the bench. And they're going on the machine with the
freaking handles and
I'm like, bro, that's not bench.
Yeah.
That's not at all bench.
No.
Because guess what? The chances of me fucking up and killing myself off this
Slim to none.
Slim to none.
That's the dude. The mindset.
I need that fear.
That yes.
I need that. You better get this up.
I better get this, especially when you're lifting by yourself. I better get this up, or it's going on my freaking throat.
I've had nights where I'm lifting by myself. My wife will be in there doing a little aerobics and stuff, and I'm like, all right, man, you better lock in real quick, man. This ain't just all right. Get your 5. Like I'll do like an 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, and like that too. Like you might be a little gassed, a little fatigued. I better chalk up right now, get the right song on.
You better get that mind right.
Shoulders back the right way. Because if I don't get that first one up, the last thing you want is be short. And then what? And then what? You're crawling underneath it. I'm not gonna let that happen.
Yeah. You can't let that happen. Too much pride on the inside.
Too much pride on the inside. Ward, before I close it up, I'm gonna give you the table. Anything you want to say to bring the Juice Nation, Bulldog Nation. Appreciate you coming back.
Yeah, man, I just appreciate you having me on. I'll say this, Bulldog Nation, when it comes to Fresno State, know that this year's team is stronger, more explosive, more powerful than last year. I am super excited to see the direction that this team goes this year. I wholeheartedly believe that this year's team has the ability to match what last year's team did. I'm very confident in that.
That fires me up. Fires me up. God, go out to a Dogs game this year. Get your new Bring the Juice hats. They're very sexy.
The Red Wave hat.
The Red Wave hat.
I just got mine today.
Sexy with it. We might need you to model for the online catalog.
Oh yeah, dude. I ain't got that kind of face nowadays, but I'll do it. Let's go.
Coach Andy Ward, strength and conditioning coach, Fresno State, the GOAT, the strength warden, the man, him. And if you're wondering why our Bulldogs are so strong, so fast, so good looking, so explosive, it's because of this man right here. Like 5 stars, subscribe, unsubscribe, buy your merch. Get your piss hot, fire me up, and we'll see you next week.